Welcome to this tutorial on creating a small dollar donor stewardship plan. My name is Vanessa Lockshin, and I'm the president of the Storytelling Nonprofit. Small dollar donor stewardship is something your organization may want to incorporate into its digital fundraising strategy for one very important reason. That's donor retention. A lot of organizations are dealing with donor attrition that is causing really like a leaky bucket in their fundraising strategies. In fact, the M&R 2018 benchmark study revealed that online donor stewardship was just 38% on average, meaning that many digital-first organizations could be losing as much as 62% of their donors annually. And that can add up to a lot of money over the year. It could be thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars for your organization, depending on what your average donation size is. So, to offset donor attrition and to figure out how we can really leverage the donors we already have, one of the strategies we can use is donor stewardship. So, let's talk a little bit about that. Stewardship is essentially the process of thanking and reporting back after donors have made a gift. And this is an opportunity to help donors feel valued and understand how they are making a difference at your organization. If your organization is just getting started with donor stewardship, I recommend creating a donor stewardship plan. And there are 3 reasons why I recommend this. So, first and foremost, it helps you get organized and lessens the overwhelm. I know that when you're dealing with a donor file of thousands of donors, it can be really overwhelming to think about how are we going to thank all of these people and create a really good experience for them. Well, creating a plan can help us figure out how we're going to execute that in a way that's sustainable and actually uses our resources wisely. Secondly, it increases consistency. And I think this is a huge piece of the puzzle for organizations when it comes to really hitting the nail on the head on donor stewardship. We have to be consistent with how we're interacting with donors and how we're stewarding them. And so having a plan in place allows organizations to get consistent with how they are stewarding their donors over time. And finally, and I think this is a really important piece of this, is that it allows you to monitor and track the effectiveness of your stewardship tactics. And if you're a bit of a data nerd like me, then this is a really great thing. You want to be able to see what you've been doing and if it's been effective at really impacting your retention numbers. And so knowing that you have a plan that you're consistently putting in place and executing will help you be able to monitor and track those things over time. So by now you're probably wondering, well, what does a stewardship plan look like? How can we put one together? Let's talk about that, and let's talk about how you can put this together for your organization. All right, so here's just kind of a very standard stewardship plan template. You could recreate this for your own organization. Some people call them a stewardship matrix. I like to say plan instead, but they essentially mean the same things if you're interested in Googling a template after this. So one of the first things you'll want to do is identify what your segments are. So we're talking about small dollar donor stewardship here in this video. And I wanted to use 3 segments in particular. So I'm defining my segments as $1 to $49, $50 to $99, $100 to $249. And there's a couple of ways you'll want to decide on your segments. One will be on your ability to execute any personal touch points you may have, like phone calls. That may be totally unfeasible to make phone calls to every single small dollar donor, but maybe to one segment in particular, you could make that work. So you want to think about, do we want to treat all donors who are in our small dollar donor pool the same, or do we want to treat them differently? So I think it's a good idea to segment out, especially small dollar donors who are making, larger one-time gifts in the $100 to $500 range can often be great prospects for sustainer giving. They can also be really good prospects for mid-level and major giving. And so I like to make sure those segments have a little extra hands-on personal touch points to be able to engage them. So once you've got your segments down, the next thing you're going to want to do is just decide what kind of stewardship tactics you're going to use for each of those segments and how and when you'll actually execute those. And I'm going to link to a video here in the cards. If you're curious about how I think about tactics of stewardship, I think about them as both the gift acknowledgement process and then the seasonal stewardship that we do outside of the one-time gift we may receive. So if you'd like to learn a little bit more about that, I'll link to that video. You can click on over to watch it. But let's talk about this. So gift acknowledgement in this example for me might look like sending a thank you email. Like that's a very simple, important thing that we can do to acknowledge the gift has been received and that we're excited that they've donated to our movement and our cause. You might also have other steps in gift acknowledgement. So for this example, I decided that the 100 to 249 segment was going to get a phone call as well. So again, you can use your judgment and think about, what are our resources and capacity to execute these things, and how do we want to interact with our donors? How do we want to thank them? So those are two very simple, easy ideas you can start with for gift acknowledgement. There's lots of other things to do as well. So in your other categories, and you may have more than three, depending on how robust you want your stewardship program to be, you're going to fill in some of those seasonal pieces. So I'll show you some examples I have for this. So for me, two examples I came up with that I think are great to incorporate in a stewardship plan are donor impact reports, and also something like a town hall call where we can engage with donors a little bit more and in a non-email channel. So for the donor impact report, I might be sending an email generally to all small dollar donors to, update them on a campaign, update them on a victory, something like that. But I would say, maybe for some segments, like the 100 to 249 segment, maybe I'll send it as a personal email instead with a note, just to kind of engage them a little bit more, let them know, I was thinking about them. I wanted to make sure they saw this. It's something, we really want them to see and hopefully feel appreciated by. And for the town hall call, maybe for those, you're inviting everyone over $50, and you do that, let's say in September, hypothetically. So these are just a couple of examples to help you think about the different types of tactics you can have in your stewardship plan. There's really no right way to do this. I would encourage you to think about, again, what is the gift acknowledgement process? So what are those steps you're taking after you've received a gift? And then what are you doing seasonally? I personally like to think about getting in anywhere from 2 to 4 seasonal touch points a year with donors. I tend to find that's a good volume to balance out other communications they may be receiving from your organization, be it advocacy emails, fundraising emails, anything of that nature. So that's a little kind of overview for this tutorial to help you think about how to get your stewardship plan in place. I hope it gave you some ideas and some good food for thought as you pull your stewardship plan together. And I would love for you to leave a comment below and just let me know, do you have a stewardship plan in place? And if not, let me know what you're thinking about including in your plan. I would love to see that and love to hear from you down below. And finally, if stewardship is something you're interested in thinking about a little bit more, I have a really interesting tool set up to help you evaluate the effectiveness of your stewardship and think about where your kind of quick wins and low-hanging fruit might be. It's called the Stewardship Assessment Tool. You can find it over at bit.ly/stewardat, and there'll also be a link down below for you to click on if you'd like to take this. Thanks so much for tuning in, and if you're interested in receiving more videos on fundraising and communications, be sure to hit the subscribe button.